Hi, I'm Michelle Stark with Unique, and I get asked all the time, how do I create my pressed eyeshadow pigments? So I'm going to do a quick video for you. That big one is 28 little dishes. It is not magnetic, so I use the E6000 glue to glue that in there. The other ones that I find are really nice, I like the separators, like how they're little separated, I guess. These ones are magnetic for $12, and these ones were only $5, where the bigger one was like $10, I think, on Amazon, and I have to just do the extra step of gluing them in. All that you're going to need to do this is your Glorious Face and Eye Primer, some rubbing alcohol, which I don't ever want to overdo it, so I usually pour some into the lid just to be a little bit safe. A paper towel, I use a paper clip as my little stir stick. And I have one that I already completed last night, so I can show you how I press it later. Just taking the loose pigment powder, you're going to want to remove this little plastic. Sometimes they're kind of tricky when you get them. I sometimes have to use my tweezers to pop them off. Sometimes they're pretty easy to pop off, but just so that way it'll easily dump into your tray. So you have your little empty tray. And I usually just take the primer with our little squeeze tube, and I just put, a little tiny dollop in the bottom. You really don't need much at all. And then I personally will pour some powder in, and I am making a mess because I'm trying to hurry for you guys, so you don't have to watch 10 minutes, right? And then you just stir until it kind of has a nice consistency. You have to make sure that you get the primer mixed in there. And I mix mine directly in the pots. I have seen other people who choose to mix in another container. They sometimes use like a little spatula to stir, and then they scoop it back out. For me personally, I have found that this is the fastest, easiest, less wasteful way, just because of how I guess I do it. I've done 5 or 6 of the main palettes for some of my Y sisters, but another way you can pick that up, I don't know if you just saw, when the paperclip is a little bit wet, you can just kind of tap, 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 and you pick some of it up and put it in the dish. So once you have about the right consistency that you'd like, and you have most of the bubbles, you just tap it on the table to have it look pretty and flat for the most part. I let mine dry overnight, so that's what I have sitting right here, is one that's been dried overnight. And then you just take the wax paper the next day, because I've tried to do this when it's still a little bit wet, and what it ends up doing is it just makes a huge mess on the wax paper. So for me, I take a quarter and I just push it down, make sure that it sticks in there, and see how it doesn't really make the mess anymore. But it's now pressed and pretty, and I can put it in my palette. So that's my quick and dirty on how I personally press my powders. I hope that you found it helpful, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks!